Okay, Bill's going to be in just a few minutes, and he's going to talk about the loan that's taken the state by storm, the California Dream Loan, California Dream for All loan.
Nice.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Hi, Frank.
Hello there. Okay, that Kane in here. There's my babysitter. Came in just to turn the recording on, huh?
Then came back as myself, yes.
There you go.
I'm going to set it up to where you don't have to remember, because I don't think last week was done. So yeah, I'll automate it so we won't have to worry about it.
Okay. So we're just going to give it a minute here. Actually, I'm sorry, about 5 minutes. Bill's on his way in. Okay, let's let iPhone in. There we go. Got a windy one out there, huh?
Hey, Frank.
Yes.
I've been sitting by my phone, just waiting for your phone call. You don't remember?
I think I called agent 1001 yesterday.
Oh man, they don't count.
My apologies for everything and everybody. If you're hearing out there that we have a dead market, it is 180 degrees the opposite. It's actually pretty busy, and I think it's going to get busier. What is driving things right now is that California Dream for All program. So it's really picking up steam. There is a limited amount of money in that program. So if your buyer does look to explore into it, it's not this program where they can say, well, I'm going to be picky, I'm going to wait till the right home comes and this and that. The money will run out. Who knows how fast? Some people say it'll be gone in about a month. Some people say 2 months. We don't know. There's about $300 million for Californians, but think about it. There's one agent that their buyer qualified for it and they're actually in escrow with it right now. And they're getting just over $100,000. So that $300 million could go pretty quick because we're talking about a lot of people in California that are jumping on it. So things are busy out there is what I'm saying. It's not deadpan like you hear on the news and stuff like that. Buyers are getting out there. They're either adjusted to the rates or they just don't care and they want to get out and buy, or they're hearing about much less competition than when they were scratching and clawing a year and a half ago. It's looking hopeful right now because a lot of people were talking about this time of the year just being a complete loss of a year of real estate, and it's looking okay right now. Okay, so Bill just messaged me. He'll be in just a moment. Any questions transaction-wise out there? Any curiosities, wonders, anything at all?
I did see it picking up for me, Frank, so I'm alive now.
Yeah, okay. Are you going for number 4?
Excuse me?
Or are you going for number 4, Jackie?
What do you mean number 4? Transaction?
Or no, number 3, I mean. No, how many you have now? You got
Yeah, it'd be about, I think it's 3 or 4. I have to see. Yes. So yeah, but this time I'm gonna move faster. I have a goal, so I have to meet it.
I was talking about the child numerals there.
Oh no, I'm done with 2. Remember I told you 2 and done.
Yeah.
We already took
All
care of it. Like literally it's done.
Okay.
Done, 2 and done.
All right. So, right, as far as I'll bring it up right now, for your offers out there, I can't stress enough, let your price do the talking. You don't have to concede things out there. Not right now, not yet. So when you're hearing about or thinking about writing your offers and cutting your contingencies in half and putting 3% deposits in escrow, there's still, I don't think there's a need for it. I would write my offer highest and best though. Okay, because you may not get a second chance. For some reason, buyers always think that, well, I'm going to start here and then they're going to counter me. And then, then I'll decide to go up. And then they send the offer and get no response and find out it's in escrow and they're upset and they're blaming everybody. Why didn't you tell me that we weren't going to get another chance? I thought we were. That's not fair. Hey, it doesn't matter. You put your offer out there. You didn't get accepted. Now, sometimes some of them will keep track of it and see what it sold for and then say to themselves, well, I would have paid that. Yeah, but you didn't offer that in the beginning because you were playing negotiator. So I would definitely go in highest and best right off the bat. And not concede on any contingencies or anything like that. Put it on the table and let the seller come back to you with their idea of what they feel the escrow deposit should be to make them feel comfortable, or what your contingency should be to make them feel comfortable. Let them do that. Don't cut your legs off right from the start. Okay, let some more folks in here. Okay, Bill should be in any minute here.
Hey, Frank, do you see
Yeah.
certain areas being more busy than others?
Riverside.
You know,
Riverside and San Bernardino, but Riverside for sure.
San Bernardino County or City of San Bernardino?
Both Riverside and both San Bernardino counties, but Riverside in particular.
Okay.
Oh yeah, both city and county of Riverside. People going to Moreno Valley, people going to, I always say this wrong, Jurupa. People going to, basically all those all those other cities in Riverside County, East Riverside County, Lake Elsinore, all those places, because of the affordability factor.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
Oh yeah, they've maintained a pretty balanced flow of purchases going on. And then when the rates were lower, it was just an explosion out there. It was crazy. I moved, let me see, 5 people into Riverside and 2 into San Bernardino last year. And it was, at the beginning of the year, end of 2021, beginning of 2022 was still very busy, but especially toward the end of 2021, we would go to a showing and it looked like there was some kind, I don't know, like they were giving away free turkeys or something. The showings would have lines around to the curb. It was just very, very active. Not quite like that right now, but some of the agents are reporting back that they're going to showings and seeing, somebody in front of them that just showed, somebody waiting in back of them to show. So it's, like I said, I wouldn't listen to the news. You'll see when you get your boots on the ground out for yourself that it's kind of active out there. Anybody in our group getting out there right now, kind of seeing the same thing I'm talking about?
I saw a little bit of it this weekend in Orange County. I did some showings in Orange County, and the only disappointing thing is there's a lot of unprofessionalism of treatment from the agents out there. It's just mind-blowing.
Oh, well, I mean, yeah, I can't talk about that one enough. You know, it's just, it's frustrating, it's disappointing. Yeah. You know, agents get into this industry, which it's not a difficult task to get in this industry. You don't need a bachelor's, a master's, definitely not a PhD or anything like that. And I actually have proposed to CAR that after someone gets their license, within 6 months, there should be some kind of test given, some kind of screening or something to see that they have a basic knowledge or understanding of contracts, transaction, ethics, behavior, all that stuff, something. And if they don't pass that test, they have 6 months to do it again and pass it, or their license gets put on pause or something. I don't know. But something needs to be done because people come into this industry, and it happened a lot during 2020, 2021. They get a listing, let's say on the listing side, they get a listing, they put it on the MLS, and then they put things like, don't call me, don't text me, don't email me, don't think about me, don't mention my name, just schedule your showing on showing time, and don't bother me until you send me an offer. How is that representing your seller? But that still happens even right now. You call an agent and they respond to you like you're bugging them. Why are you a listing agent? You should be expecting 100 phone calls. You should be happy anybody's calling you. Because a few months ago, there wasn't so much activity. It's just it's really a crisscross of emotions and positions in our industry. You know, a couple of years ago, the sellers were we were in a seller's market. They were in control. They were getting far above list price, asking buyers to do outrageous things. Buyers were doing outrageous things to compete with each other. And sellers were, you know, feeling on top of the world. Buyers were upset. Buyers agents were so upset and felt that they were being taken advantage of, and so on and so forth. What happens? 9 months, 10 months ago, we had the shift. What happened? Buyers want the price much lower. They want closing costs. They want things fixed. Same thing. Sellers were feeling like they were being taken advantage. There's really no psychological win on either side. We must learn to work together and accomplish the goal. Work together, meet in the middle, be reasonable, get into escrow, get it closed, make everybody happy. It looks like Bill's in here now.
What's up, everyone? I'm sorry to keep you waiting, but hey, at least I told you up front that I'd probably be 5 or 10 minutes late. So.
Don't worry. We're just glad that you're here.
I know the team I was working on something with. As much as I love them to death, they never really finish on time. Okay, guys, gotta go. I've got a call to be on. They're like, all right, bye. So, how's everyone tonight?
Good. Thank you for asking, Bill. How are you?
What did I miss? Tell me, what's the big news? What did I miss?
We're waiting on the California Dream Act. Please explain it.
What do you okay, so I love starting this way. So tell me what you know, tell me what you heard, tell me what you feel.
This is the first time I heard it, like right now on this call. That's why I thank you guys on the weekly call. I had no idea this was going on.
Got it. Okay. All right. What else? Who else has heard anything about it?
How do you feel about the program, Bill? Is it worth getting, putting it out there, promoting it?
Somewhat. Okay. You need to have patience. So remember a few months back, I keep talking about some of these down payment assistance programs, and what are we in? We're in April now. Okay. So the institution that runs that is the State of California Housing Finance Authority. Okay. They typically run out of regular funds right around mid-July, around mid-July typically. So I suspect that they're going to run out of funds a little sooner this year offering this type of program. That's my opinion. That's my professional opinion. I've been in the business long enough. I think I'm going to be correct. So let me, the good is, let's talk in today's dollars, right? Let's say that you have someone that qualifies to have this program. And what is our average price of a home today in, say, Riverside County? Would you say 550, 600?
5 to 550 on average, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let's go with 500 because I want to work with round numbers. So the state of California is going to provide 20%, right? $100,000 to help that person get into a home. Does it sound good so far?
Mm-hmm.
Very good.
Okay. Who's eligible?
Is it just first-time home buyers?
Okay, and how do you define a first-time home buyer?
Someone who doesn't have any, does not have a single family residence under his name, under a deed or anything under their name.
I would say
In what
someone who has
period of time?
3
In
years.
In what period of time? How many?
3?
10 years?
I say.
Yeah,
that's-
three is the norm. However, this program has it at 7. Right.
Interesting.
So, so you have a sin in your
Yeah.
past, right? And we know that a lot of people did have short sales and lost homes and that type of thing, but that should be 10, 12 years out. So, but this program does have a slight difference in that they're really looking at 7+. What is the debt to income ratio? What do you think you can take a person to on this debt to income?
Uh, 50 to 55.
Okay. Try 43.
Wow.
Oh,
And
okay.
well, I'm gonna give you the thought process behind it, right? Because the devil's always in the details, and God knows the state of California, albeit very generous, right? Understand that, you know, under normal circumstances, right, you can go conventional to 49.99 with 3% down, right? You can go FHA to 55 with 3.5% down. VA doesn't have a DTI ratio. They just look at, you know, how much extra income you have, right? So why would you say 43 if you're putting 20% down? But the reason is because they don't want the person stretching themselves to be able to get into the home. The thing is that once you get into those debt to income ratios, right, there's so many additional, but just that one alone, you know, that one alone knocks a lot of people out of contention.
Yeah.
Because and I'm gonna but think why, right? The why comes when you start thinking, you know, that interest rates are elevated. When rates were in the 4s, the average debt to income was falling between 40 and 43%. In the 4s. What are rates at today? In the 6s, right? So could you find a way to get them to the 4s? Does anyone have any idea? I mean, you know, if it's even a possibility to get it in the 4s?
Bill, I have to ask, is this only single family home residents that won't apply to an investment home if they wanted to have their first purchase there?
I'm sorry, what was the question? Yes, the
It just
question
applies
as
to
I
a
heard
single
it was-
family home. It doesn't apply to, say, if they wanted an investment home, a duplex, a triplex, or, you know, like a, yeah, an investment where they would live in it, but then rent the rest.
As I recall, No, as I recall, you can purchase it. You can buy units, but you do have to occupy it. However, the same rule still applies. You can't, in fact, that would make it even tougher, right? If you're going to use rental income, right? And so is Renee on the call perchance? Because he's an appraiser. I have a question for him.
I'm here.
Perfect. Renee, when you're doing a rent survey,
Yes.
what data are you using to measure rent on, let's say, investment property?
Well, we go back and we do a rent survey. We basically use MLS information. It has to be actual rentals that we find on the MLS. We can't use that pro rata. You know, a lot of it's that pro rata. That's like the estimate. We can't use that. But we just basically search on the MLS for similar units, a unit mix. We can go, you know, a year back and we determine a range, and we usually get about 3 comparables of current similar rents in that area, that neighborhood, that market area.
Very good.
That's how we do it.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. So people understand, right? Let's say that you're using, so let's say that the rents in an area are, is it fair to say that 2,500 is a decent market rent? Just a generic decent market rent out there?
Yes.
Or am I going high or am I going low?
That's a decent.
That's decent.
Okay. That's decent, right? So as a lender, this is where you got to understand the different bits and pieces, right? As a lender, lenders are going to give you, because we have to follow Fannie and Freddie rules and everything, right? We're going to take the number that the appraisal expert gives us. Renee says, hey, I've done a rent survey. Your market rents are 2,500, blah, blah, blah. So we give you credit for 2,500, right? Because we've been able to justify that those are rents. Do you guys agree?
Yes.
Okay. The answer is no. We give you credit for 75% of that because we don't want people to get in too much trouble. So
Wait,
what
was your question? I'm sorry, Bill, I lost you. What was your question?
I said, do we give, so Renee has done a rent survey, right? And he's determined that rents are 2,500. My question is, do we give you credit for that 2,500?
Oh,
and,
no.
And the answer is no. We give you credit for 75% of the rents that are provided. As a matter of fact, when I look on the bottom of the appraisal report, I believe that we're going by median rent. Is that right? I'm not looking at a report because I'm driving, but does that sound right, Renee?
Yes.
You have a median rent, right? Median market rent. Okay.
Yes.
So
that's right.
That's what we're going off of, right? We're going off the median, right? He gives us the median, that number is 2,500. We're not going off the high of 3,000, and we're not going off the low of 2. We're just going with the median market rent that he gave us, and then we're taking 25% off of that because we want to account for units being empty. Because trust me, they're always empty. So, right, and then we give the person credit for that, but nonetheless, right, the 43%. I was reading the fine print in the program. The fine print of the program says that let me put it this way, it's virtually impossible to get outside of the 43%. There are ways, we're not going to get into them, but it's virtually impossible. It's, there is an exception if someone co-signed for a home and they can show that the person has paid the home for the last 3 years. There are several exceptions, but they are so narrowly written that, you just got to understand that, this is a tough program to get into. Now, it doesn't mean it's not a good program. It just means that it's going to be very difficult to get people into it. So what do you think? Why do you think the state's doing this? What would be your opinions, right, as a real estate professional as to why the state would step in and gift people 20%, right? Because isn't that what they're doing? It's a silent 20%. Why would they do it?
Stimulate sales in the
Yeah,
lower,
yeah.
probably the lower income.
Incentivize sales, but at the same time, at the end of the day, they get more money.
But yeah, that
Alright.
too. They're gonna make their
Every-
money in the
every-
end.
Everything that they said, and then there's the fine print where they incentivize it to make you want to jump into it, but they want to have control over it to keep you from making money off of it and then make their money in the end. So
Control's a big one. Right now, they just want full control.
Wait, who's gonna make money in the end? The seller, right? The homeowner?
the bank.
I would think the bank
bank,
at the end of the
yeah.
day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So walk me through the thought process to how the bank makes money in the end, right? Because there's a transfer of funds or is it interest?
Interest
Tell me why, help me
rates,
understand.
transfer of all
Okay.
these fees associated with it.
Okay, all
At
right.
the time that you refinance, they get their money and they probably have it built into where they're going to get some equity.
Now, why would you say such a thing about the state? Why would you even
You mean about the
think that
country?
they're gonna try? Well, why do you think they're gonna try to get their money through equity?
Because nothing's free in life.
Well,
You know.
it clearly states that it's a shared equity program.
Ah, very good. That's what I wanted to hear.
Yeah, it's
You're
right
right.
there.
Oh,
Yeah,
Yeah,
that part.
it
That
says it.
part.
Yeah, it says it. Going into it, it says it right from the beginning. It's a shared equity program.
not so much of a dream now. But again, listen, I'm not trying to talk you out of it. It is a good program for a narrow group of people, but you need to understand, right? Because you need to understand. So when you buy that home, right? You got it for 500. You got 20% gifted to you. You were able to get into a home when you were previously living in an apartment, right? Because you qualify. And then someone, and then you sell, right? You sell 5 years from now, right? And, I haven't looked at my projections, so I need to pull my MBS highway data and do a shared screen, which I'm willing to do next week. Looking at what the projections are, we can tell you what projected values are in different markets. And I've done that before live on the calls. I haven't done it in a while. It's probably been about 6-7 months. But I'd like to do that, right, where you look at the projected numbers. So let's just say that 5 years from now, someone give me a number. What number are you comfortable with saying that values will be at 5 years from now? And, I want to hear 3 or 4 guesses. Come on, you guys. Now's not the time to be shy.
What did you say,
Where do
Bill?
you
Sorry.
think where do you think values will be in 5 years?
Of a home?
Yeah. Mhm.
In a percentage, or we're talking
Yeah,
about a
like a million,
$500,000
or talking
home?
dollar amounts.
We're talking
So in
about a
dollars, in terms of-
$500,000 home. What is it gonna be in 5 years? Is that what you're
Yeah,
asking?
Double of
roughly.
it? Maybe double? I'm being positive.
I mean,
Equity would be great.
I mean, probably.
No, you're being delusional. A double, but positive is good. We can spin it.
Wait, it's gonna be
700?
even?
700 maybe, a few hundred
Okay.
thousand.
Yeah, 200K more.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay.
Between 600 and 700, probably.
Okay. So, okay. Let's say 700, right? And you paid 5. You've got a $200,000 spread. But you're going to share equity. So, I know I've always known Frank. Frank's the king of disclosure, right? So just understand that in the future, right? And we've had these shared equity programs before. This is not the first time. In fact, Frank and I dealt with a situation with a buyer. We were on the buy side, and the seller had a shared equity program through the city of Moreno Valley, structured the same way. And I don't remember the dollars and cents, but I do remember that the seller walked away with, I want to say $50,000-$60,000 less than they thought they were going to, because they somehow forgot that they were in a program where they shared equity. And it almost killed the deal.
They thought that they were coming out of it with 130 and they came out of it with, I think, 82 or something like that. Because they had, remember, here's the thing, not only you need to prepare your buyer for the future to give up in this program from the numbers 40%, because they're going to have to give back. They're going to see the number that they're going to make, but they have to remember they have to give back that 20% right off the bat and then 20% of their equity. So they're really going to give 40%. And that's going to be a shock to them in the future to see the money there and then see it go away, you know?
Right. So in that scenario, right, we had a phenomenal buyer, excellent credit, had the patience of a saint, right? And he's like, that's okay, man, no problem. What do you guys think? And of course, we disclose the risks, right? This is the good, this is the bad. You guys love the house. It's been, you know, tell us what you think. And so they stuck it out and they closed, and the seller still walked away with proceeds, but less proceeds than they thought. And the less proceeds than they thought very well could affect their ability to buy something else, right? And so you do in your discussions for the future are going to become more thorough and more complicated, because now you're going to have to, I envision that you're going to see shared equity programs for the next probably 2 to 3 years. As long as there's, you know, it's just another way for the state to kind of stimulate activity, as many of you said. That is true. Trust me, they're not doing it for you. You know, they're not, you know, they're not doing it in that regard. But guess what? It looks really good, right? It's a really good thing to say and put out there that, hey, you know, we're the state of California and we're going to help you. You know, we're going to help you. We believe in you so much, we're willing to share equity with you. Well, wait a minute. That equation doesn't sound right. But again, so if you do sell that home for $700,000, right? You know, agents, how much of that in your mind is that seller going to give up?
How long were they in that house, Bill and Frank, before they sold?
Well,
I think they were there for 7 years.
Yeah, so
And
the
they-
shared equity, I believe, was for 10.
Okay, so it's recommended, so upon disclosure, like, we should hope that these buyers stay in there 10 years or more, right? I mean, that's kind of, they would be better off that way.
I'm
Yeah,
not sure about this program though, if it's perpetual, if it lasts the life of the loan or
does.
not.
It never falls
Okay, it
off.
does.
I don't think
So-
it falls
No,
off.
yeah, I
So
don't
let's
think
put
this
it
one
this
falls
way.
off.
Nope,
You
it
can
doesn't
live
fall off.
there as long as you want, and down the road, and that's going to be an even bigger impact, because 30 years
is.
from now, if you sell, you're going to see 40% of what's going to appear to be initially your profits. 40% is going bye-bye.
Plus your capital gains. Plus, you know, I mean, it's a little scary. I mean, listen,
Mm.
next week, if you guys want, we will do an exercise and drill into this further and say, you know, I'll open up the portal and share my screen, and you guys can start preparing now if you want to give Frank, you know, 3 to 5 zip codes to look at, to work on right now. We'll look at those and we'll do those live in real time. But if you give them to me in advance, I'll have them ready, and it'll make it more efficient and faster to be able to show you, based on the zip codes that you give me, what the projected growth is in those areas, right? We get our data. We get our data from an organization that's been doing this for 30 years. Accurate, you know, the bond market, interest rates, all kinds of stuff. you know, and I don't even know what it is, but we pay a stupid amount of money for a subscription, like per person, to receive his data. But, you know, I mean, I'm happy to share, hey, you know what, give me 3 to 5 zip codes, you know, not all in the same county. I don't want them all in the same county. You know, we can do, you know, a couple LA County, a couple Riverside County, a San Bernardino, and maybe a San Diego. And show you what the projected growth is there. And I'm telling you, you know, listing agents, if you guys become listing agents, you're going to wow your seller when you're this much more diligent and this much more thorough, and people look at you and go, well, the other guy didn't say that. And I'm like, well, you know, again, you know what? The other guy probably just wants to get a quick listing. We want to prepare you for the future, right? Type of thing. But yeah, you're right. On this program, and I read the majority of it, on this program, it does not fall off. The shared equity never goes away because this is by the state. The county or the city programs typically go away after 10 years. And the county programs are kind of a hodgepodge, meaning that there are programs for certain counties that the county administers, but the state doesn't support, right? But this one happens to be a state program. So on the surface, this looks much more generous than the other programs. But and again, I don't, listen, if you put one person into a home, right, that was renting or leasing or doing whatever, and they go into this program and they generate, they generate a small $100,000 worth of equity. Just understand that if they were in an apartment or they were renting from someone, they would generate $0 of equity. So I'm not trying to talk anyone out of using it, but I am trying to make sure that you understand that, you know, it's not going to answer, you know, all of your questions. You know, a while back, about 2 months ago, 3 months ago, I reviewed the Bank of America Down Payment Assistance Program. And boy, I'll tell you, it created a ton of fanfare. And I won't discuss numbers that were given to me in confidence from someone at Bank of America, but they're not doing the numbers. They're just not doing the numbers. They're not coming through because, you know, the rules are so tough. And this one's not much different. But that's not to say that helping one person isn't worth it, because it is.
Yeah. Bill, really quick, I have a buyer right now. She just got qualified. And just prior to this Dream for All program, there was one that she wanted me to inquire about with the city of LA. Like you mentioned, county cities, you know, they have similar programs. So there was one that I started looking into, and I got turned off and she got turned off right away when it said shared equity. I said, okay, I looked into it. And when the moment I said that, I disclosed that, she's like, never mind. She has the down payment. I said, you have the money to put down. Let's just go that direction. And she was like, all right, I'm on board. So, yeah, I think that you disclose that, and, you know, it's up to the buyer. But like you said, you know, we just have to be upfront and tell the buyers, you know, what to expect in the long run. And yeah, she was like, yeah, I don't like the sound of that. I'm like, okay. I go, but you have, you know, she goes, I have the money for the down payment anyway. So I'm like, all right. So we're just gonna go traditional. And I'll try to get the assistance.
Yeah, so on next week's call, I'll listen. I will put up the entire policy, right? There's lenders out there. Oh yeah, we don't share. We don't listen. I don't care. The more you know, the more educated you are, the easier it is for you to communicate certain things to the consumer. We're in it together. We're in it to help the consumer. So, you know, now some people may not know how to work around certain policy and underwriting guidelines, and that's where we're completely different as lenders, right? Right now, anyone that hasn't, this is a controversial statement. I made it the other day, and I said, you know what? Right now, any lender that's been in business less than 5 years, I would be seriously concerned, because if they've never managed in this market, it's going to be a challenge. Again, not saying they can't do it, not saying they're not service minded or smart, or they can't figure out a discussion with an underwriter. But right now, in today's environment, the thing that matters most is those relationships and how you can pick up the phone and work through with an underwriter, or having been one, say, hey, listen, these are the reasons why we could do this, you know? And I mean, I had that conversation today with an underwriter. I'm like, you're asking me for something that you and I both know they will not be able to generate. It had to be a construction loan, right? And we were only funding the first portion of the construction loan. And they said, well, we need permits and this and that. I said, you and I both know that those things won't happen until 45 days prior. And you're making it a condition of approval and funding the first piece. And they're like, yeah, but we need to make sure it's approved and blah, blah, blah. I go, I've already shown you the use by the city, the letter from the city, the everything that shows this is an approved project to move forward. And your permits are only to address, you know, the actual construction of the home, subject to inspections and draws and everything else. And so requesting that up front doesn't make sense. And she's like, well, it sounds like you've done a lot of these construction loans. I'm like, I have. It's been a while, but you know, it's something we're doing more of again today. And she goes, well, I'm kind of new on this team, right? But if you didn't have someone to bounce it off of or discuss, someone else might have just turned that deal down and said, oh, okay, never mind. You think I'm going to turn the deal down? It's a $9.4 million deal. So it's just one of those things you got to look at, right? And it's you know, right now, underwriting expertise, you know, is everything. And understand, you know, I mean, I'll share that stuff and show you what, you know, projections are. But again, they are projections, right? That doesn't mean they're etched in stone, and you need to be cautious on how you disclose what you're doing or what you're proposing or where you think values are going to be, because I would never want you as professionals in a position of liability where they say, oh, well, they assured me it would be worth this, and that's why I entered into the transaction. You know, they guaranteed me it would be this, you know, they said, do this, you know, you can't lose, right? You know, things that we heard before the last meltdown. So again, it is a good program. It is a very narrow path, very narrow path. So don't let it turn you away, but just be very mindful of what, you know, you have in front of you. You know, a while back, I used to, I think Frank has mentioned it before. I've, you know, I'm published as an author. I've done other stuff, and I used to blog a lot. I used to write a lot, and this might be one of those where maybe I write some stuff for you guys to kind of help you understand the world better and give a perspective that your consumer understands what you're doing. It is good for some people, but it's not good for everyone. And let's say that you have someone that you successfully put into the program. I started with it, but I also want you to understand these programs run out of money. So they run out of money and more time than other programs. It's not something that to be completely fair and transparent, I think that you should plan for a 45 to 60 day escrow. A 30-day escrow is not going to happen. And anything lesser than that, you're looking at the wrong product. You shouldn't even be looking at anything if you're trying to close in, you know, 21 days or make that your competitive advantage. because it's going to be virtually impossible to do that. So just need to prep you for that, right? You know, so if someone says, you know, hey, you know, people do it, right? Hey, I've given notice to my landlord, and I need to be out of here in like 40 days, right? You know, my wife and I agreed that by Memorial Day weekend we would have our own place. This isn't the program for you. It's just not. There's on that regard, there's too many things that can go wrong. So I just need to know that you guys are prepared for that. Again, don't let the program scare you. It's a good program, you know. And don't shoot the messenger either. I'm not trying to talk you down. I just want you to understand that the market behind it still has some pretty aggressive underwriting goals.
So what do you think could go wrong? Just the aggressive underwriting, or why would it be so long, Bill?
If you well, first, in most of the time with Cali Pay loans, the thing is that if you're pushing the envelope to get them, I'll give you the first thing that I'm going to say. It's called interest rate risk, right? Find them. Let's just say it's finance. You're calling and hey, you know what? All projections are that the rates are scheduled to be equal or maybe go down a hair, right? So let's just hang out and figure it out. And everything goes wonderful on the underwriting side, right? And they come back and surprise you and say, hey, guess what? We're going to be ready to close soon, but you need to lock the rate. And the rate's now at 7. That's not a discussion that you want to have with your buyer, because in order to get that 6.5 rate that had been discussed, and if you didn't prep them correctly, you're going to be spending some money as a lender, an agents even on both sides, right? Because you don't want to let the deal die, right? Talk to us how you've done those deals before, Frank, right? Where you step in and say, hey, you know what? Everyone has to pony up a little money to be able to get these people the rate that we said they were going to get.
Yeah.
So the interest rate risk is the thing that to me comes to mind, because an inexperienced lender, regardless of how much they've coached their buyer, if they miss a boat on that and they miscalculated, rates go up, or let's say the rates stay constant, let's say they don't go up, but they miscalculated the income and instead of being 43%, they're 45. Now you have to figure out how to get their debt to income down. And I can tell you ways to get it down, but they're unique to the individual because it depends on what their debt is. Is their debt student loans? Is their debt credit card debt? Is it vehicle debt? You know, oh, I just bought a car, 5 months ago. I didn't think it was going to hurt me. Yeah.
Oop, I think we lost Bill. Maybe someone from the state of California cut him off.
Or the wind took him.
Yeah, I think the wind, it's really strong right now.
Yeah,
That's true.
Yeah,
That's a possibility.
I could hear stuff blowing outside.
Yeah.
Is there a tornado like it was in my head in Montebello? Probably a
Montebello tornado. All right. Well,
Right.
oh, there he goes. You're back, Bill.
Are you in the tornado?
Did I fall off or what?
Yes.
The
We
wind
thought
took
that
Was I talking to myself? I mean,
Yeah.
man,
Yeah.
I think the
thought,
government has his eyes on you.
we thought someone in Sacramento up there pushed the button.
So
You're going in
Did
and
you
out.
guys hear
buddy.
what the risks were? No. I'm sitting at a light. I'm not even moving.
We heard interest rate, only the interest rate risk, but not if you
All
should.
right.
Yeah, that's all we heard.
So the other part is also you have to be concerned with miscalculating the income. Or maybe you didn't even miscalculate the income. Maybe the underwriter just doesn't agree. Maybe the underwriter is looking at it and goes, hey, you know what? That's great and all. Your overtime calculation's correct, but they only have 22 months of history of overtime, not 24 as required. I can't approve this. Your debt to income is now at this. And this is why you have financing contingencies to try to get this stuff squared away up front as early as possible. This is why some of us have been lenders for as long as we have been. We ask for everything up front because I promise you the one thing you don't give me is the one thing that will blow up your deal. That much I promise you. It will blow up your deal. So it's just, again, you know, interest rate risk, miscalculating the income. I'll tell you, I've had borrowers that have quit their jobs on $1 million homes, doctors that, oh, whatever, I got the money. So there's just a lot of things that can go wrong. So if you have a patient buyer and a patient seller and someone that can wait 45 to 60 days to close an escrow, you know, and they kind of fit all the boxes, then by all means, I mean, go for it. But just understand. Kick me out again?
You disappeared again.
Hello? Did you kick me out again?
We can hear you
Hello?
now. We can hear
We
you.
can hear you now.
That's weird. I mean, literally, I'm pulling into my neighborhood and I never lose signal in my neighborhood. So that's kind of weird. But again, don't try to talk people out of the program. The program does work. Just understand, don't try to put everyone into it either, because there are some, there are a lot of landmines you can step on. And the biggest one is you don't want to put a buyer into a home that they're not going to be able to close on, and you're going to put their money at risk. You know, that's a horrible position to be in. So you guys have any other questions for me, or did I blow your bubble because the dream is turning into a nightmare? Hey, because the dream is turning into a nightmare because of all the rules behind it.
Well, I'd be interested in seeing, there's 2 agents that are assigned to me as mentees, and one of them's applying for it right now. The other one's actually been approved. So let's see what happens, you know, during the course, and I'll report back to everyone here to let you know the successes or the issues that have come up. Because anytime, I mean, we're talking about dealing with the state, you know. Anybody ever walk into the DMV and ask them to please hurry, you got an appointment or anything involving the state? I mean, they don't move quick. They sure regulate pretty hefty. Of course, they're usually out for their own interest. I get it. It's free money. We really shouldn't complain, but it just seems like there are certain things. Like I didn't know that debt to income ratio thing there. That's going to count a lot of people out right off the bat. Like you said, you know.
And listen, and the one thing the state will do, and they don't necessarily do it right away because the program just came out, but they will do policy revisions as they see problems pop up. They will do a policy revision. And like I said, unless there's something, and every once in a while we will get policies that will have written on them, not to be distributed to consumer, blah, blah, blah. And in those instances, I'll just tell you, I will not break their rules. I will not I will not distribute the entire policy to the consumer because they don't want you to. But that doesn't mean that I won't snip certain portions out of it as part of a discussion for you to see. You know, so and if you said, well, I kind of want to see this part of the policy, I have no problem sharing that. But when they say that, I just can't distribute the entire policy. And I get it, right? We're dealing with, you know, regulators in different areas, and so we just want to make sure we do things right. So but yeah, next week, if you wanna promote it and get, you know, 5 target zip codes, Frank, we'll do a live shared screen where we can look at projected values in the zip codes. Even if you go to 6, right? I prefer if you send them to me in advance so I can do the work. It's going to be a little lunky and slower if we do it while on the call, but I don't mind doing it on the call. And try to do, you know, 2 LA County, 2 Riverside County, 2 San Bernardino. And, you know, again, I don't know if we have anyone that is San Diego or, you know, up north, but if we do, I'm willing to do those. But if we don't, let's just stick to the areas that we serve.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, there's a lot we do know and a lot we don't know with that program, but let's wait and see what happens. On another note, can you talk a little bit about, because remember all the jazz about 2-3 months ago was a 2-1 buy down.
Yep.
And there are still some folks that don't really understand the detail there. It's actually very much, I think, it's got that trigger like the interest only did years ago that got people in trouble. Of course, I'm sure the requirements and the standards are much higher, but can you go over that a little bit, the 2-1 buy down, how it works?
I'm going to give you the highest level on the 2-1 buy down. And I'm just going to say, so let's say that, let's say you do a 2-1, right? And let's say that interest rates are at 6.5. Let's just say they're at 6.5, right? If you do a 1 buy down, right, or a 1-year buy down, it's a 1% drop, right, for a year. So instead of being 6.5, it's going to be 5.5 for the first year, right? If you did a 2-1 buy down, it's a 2% reduction for the first year, a 1% reduction for the second year, and then it goes to the 6.5 rate or whatever the rate was today. And it's designed to get you to qualify and ease you into a home, right, from the start. So, and I can tell you, because I know that I was reviewing that policy on one of our policies, on one of the programs, and that I can share with you guys next week too, allows for only the seller to contribute on the buy down, doesn't let you do the buy down yourself. Which I thought was interesting. I haven't read through the whole program. I was looking at it today and I'm like, that's interesting. So yeah, it's designed to temporarily lower your rate during the initial period, right? Actually, there are actually what are called 3-2-1 buy downs. You know, you can buy it down 3% year 1, 2% year 2, 1% year 3, and then year 4 it becomes. Do you know the last time that these became really common, and it wasn't a buy down, but it was called an introductory rate, is when loan modifications happened, right? They knew that people were in trouble, so they did the equivalent of a buy down, except they didn't make you pay for it. They said, hey, you know, we know you're in trouble, so we're going to give you a 3% rate the first year, 4% the second year, and then you're going to finish at 5% or whatever the rate was the third year. And that was the way they got you to start performing or paying your loan again.
Catching up.
Oh, so I believe, just so you guys know, I believe that I have I think I have a little calculator that looks at buy downs that I'll share next week on the screen. Because it's proprietary to the company, I can't send it to you, but it doesn't mean I can't recreate it and send that to you. If you understand what I'm saying on that. So I can't send you the company's proprietary calculator, but smart enough to create my own and share that with you.
How about a regular, just your standard rate buy down? How much more would that cost you than the 2-1?
So, oh boy. Why do you like to stump me, Frank? No, it's a great question. So here's the thing. So every 1/8 of a point reduction in interest rate has a cost associated with it. Every 1/8 of a point increase in rate has a credit associated with it. And you're going, well, why the hell would I want to go higher rate? Because the truth is, some people have really good income, but might not have the down payment or might not have all the money to pay closing costs. So let me look at the way that we're printing rate sheets now, and I can show you an example of a sheet so that you could see what it costs. Because the thing is that the way buying points and everything, it truly fluctuates day by day. About 3-4 months ago, to buy the rate down 1/8 of a point was like almost a point. I'm like, that doesn't make sense. So the market gets a little wonky, and by next week it may be different than this week. So I'll just show it to you so you guys can see it. So I'm gonna set up a sample transaction or two that'll use real numbers, that will use they'll use your name, Frank, and whoever else. I'll use Renee's, and then we can you guys can ask me to simulate or make changes, and I'll show you in real time what the cost of a buy down might be. It's all over the board. It fluctuates. So, but I want to be transparent and show this to you guys. So.
Thank you. That'll be interesting. I'll look forward to it.
You're very welcome. So, all right. You guys have any other questions for me? It sounds like I got a lot of homework for next week. Did I lose you guys?
I'm here. I think
Oh.
I have no. I
think we
think there's
gave
no question.
We gave you enough.
Okay. All right. Well, listen, I'll be prepared. We'll start on time next week, and let's have a chat next week. And again, Frank, collect those zip codes or just pick them at random yourself, and let me know so that I can prepare ahead of time.
Sorry about that, everyone. I guess as the wind is playing with our technology here, I actually got locked out here or logged off. Okay. Everybody hear me there?
Yep.
Did you fall?
Okay. I don't know if it was just me or did everybody get locked off. My apologies there.
No, we stayed connected, so.
Okay, so if anything, the way I look at this right now is that where 5, 6, 9 months ago, folks were looking at it as doom and gloom, everything's just coming to an end, nobody's got any options, how's anybody ever going to buy a house again, and so forth, to, hey, you know what, we're getting creative with the financing, there are programs coming out, things and ways are happening. So that's something I'm happy about, because we always seem to kind of figure it out. Sometimes it takes a little longer to figure things out, like back in the foreclosure meltdown time, because it was just so, just so overwhelmingly stacked up against these borrowers and all these resetting loans that it was hard to avoid. We just basically had to play that one out. But in this day and age where it just seems like we're figuring out, probably from our mistakes in the past, how to get things and people back on track, because people want to own a home regardless of economies and world issues and things like that. It's very much a goal that everybody says, you know what, while the rest of the world is distracted or doing this, that, and the other thing, I'm doing this. I'm going to do this. This is my goal, and I'm going to achieve it. So thank goodness that there are folks out there that are finding or helping us find a way to do it. All right. So that said, any other questions there? Nope. Any contractual questions? Nope. Okay. Then we are going to call it a night a little early tonight. And please remember that tomorrow is Tech Tuesday with Coach Kane. He'll be in here, same place, same time, same link. And then on Wednesday, Coach Renee should be back with our Evaluation Wednesdays. And thankfully, everything went well. I know he's been talking about these sinus issues there, and it looks like that got taken care of, and he's back on track, and we'll see him on Wednesday. At the end of the week, I should be announcing, yes.
Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt. I wanted to ask, on Tuesday's text, what did you guys necessarily go over? I know it's tech, but what is tomorrow's subject, I should say, because I'm going to try to make those out too.
It's a lot of KV core, which honestly, you can't get enough KV core.
Yeah.
Because folks still have a hard time even just logging in or setting up their profile or transferring their data over. And then especially on the more technical side, once you have your data in there, folks just don't have a grasp of doing campaigns, drip campaigns, text campaigns, landing pages, things like that. So he's always talking about something the same, but something new. And then he'll talk about other social media tools and other applications also that are going to help you market yourself, create content, video, everything tech on Tuesdays.
Got it. Thank you.
All right. Well,
and
everyone,
I interrupted you, Frank. You were going on about Wednesday, sorry, and then
I'm
not sure what else
worry.
you're gonna.
Well, it's because Renee wasn't in last Wednesday. He's back. Try to attend on Wednesdays. On Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays, if you notice at these meetings, there's no rah-rah, there's no cheerleading, it's not really necessarily a motivational training or anything like that. Although, obviously, hopefully you're learning things and that motivates you because you feel more comfortable. You feel like you know what you're talking about. But Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and actually any training that I put on the table, I want you to be able to walk away with it to actually put it into action and use it right away with your careers. So remember, try and make these Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays if you can. Also, if you can't ever make the in-person meetings, there's a difference between being on a Zoom or on a call or anything like that and being in person. People tend to share more, open more. People feel more relaxed in asking their questions because they're right there. Obviously, they're not as distracted when they're when they're on a Zoom. So try and make some of these in-person meetings that we're having. Obviously, we're headed toward the summer. The weather should be better. And at the end of the week, I should be announcing at least one more in-person training coming up in the next couple of weeks. And then also we've got some other exciting things that are going to happen on Saturdays. We've got the real estate school that's going to start up in about a month. We've got some great outside the box type of in-person trainings coming up, like acting coaches coming in, just all kinds of cool stuff. the Pictionary, real estate Pictionary night, just things that get us back together, re-engage. And I know that some of you have heard this motto within EXP, but make real estate fun again, because it kind of wasn't fun for a while. I mean, you got to take it seriously, but at the same time, enjoy what you're doing. All right, everybody. If there's no further questions, thank you very much. Remember, try and get in tomorrow, Tech Tuesday, Wednesday, Valuation Wednesday, and we will see you next week. Have a good night.
Good night. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Good night.